Hello, viewers. Today we are going to talk about some K-pop discourse. I thought it would be fun to just do some videos on K-pop discourse related things. And I'm gonna talk about, the biggest sort of K-pop discourse right now. Not like at this precise moment, like this week, but just the past like year or so, what's really been a giant fandom group versus group battle that's sort of been going on, and that is the BTS Army versus EXO-L. And now, before you're like, oh, you're just gonna pick your favorite? Okay, look. I am BTS Army. I am EXO's EXO-L. Okay? Love them both. They're amazing artists. They're great dancers. They're good groups. And, I do remember when EXO debuted, and I was, like, avoiding them because right from the start, there was a bit of an issue with certain fans of EXO being like above and beyond insane. And every K-pop group has those those incredibly over the top, just a little dangerous and really aggressive fans. But when EXO came out, they seemed to have more than usual. And that was a big reason I avoided them for a while. And actually, I was watching different stuff, and I think it was Wolf actually that came on my suggestions. And at this point, I had seen Growl, and I did really like Growl, but there were so many of them, I didn't really feel like I could get into them because it's hard to tell the difference between that many moving like that. And Growl didn't help me distinguish people, besides Sehun because he had that rainbow hair at the time. But it was so ridiculous that honestly I was like, I have to know them now. And that's about when I got into EXO. And then BTS, I knew about them sort of from when they debuted, but I really got into them during like the Danger era because War of Hormone was my shit. I loved War of Hormone. Like, I mean, I knew about them during the debut era. I thought they were talented, but I didn't really get into them until War of Hormone came out, and Ratman had that blonde hair, and V had that deep ass voice, and it was just an experience. But anyway, the point is I really like both BTS and EXO, and I am in the EXO's EXO-L fandom, and I'm in the BTS Army fandom, and I have spent money on both of them. And so I'm not particularly biased in this argument, this discourse, if you will. And just as a disclaimer, most fans of both BTS and EXO are calm, they're nice, they're chill people. The thing is, BTS and EXO have two of the biggest fandoms in K-pop, and just with more mass, you have more crazy, insane people. And I really do think that's where the problem stems from, is those few crazy, insane people who won't let anything go, who create problems where there aren't problems. And it's wild, because BTS and EXO seem to be pretty good friends. Like, they seem to get along when they're on stages together. There's not like, it's not like one of them started an issue with the other. It's not like Namjoon wrote a rap or something about one of the EXO members. It's not like Chin was like, oh, I hit them high notes better than Jimin or something. Like, none of them had anything to do with this. That's what's crazy. Like, none of them have ever been problematic towards each other. And yet, the fandoms still go at it, and I don't know what it is exactly other than they're the two most vocal fandoms right now. Because, and I will be frank, ARMYs are particularly bad about this. When you are watching a video for another K-pop group, be it Infinite, Block B, SHINee, Monsta X, Got7, anybody, I'm just listing them now, but there is always at least one, usually more, person in there who's like, ARMY here, and it's kind of, it doesn't really bother me when someone's like, ARMY here to support whatever group, because lots of different fandoms do that. Like, if you go on a Golden Child video, there's a million, In Spirit's here for Golden Child, or like, which makes sense, because Infinite and Golden Child are in the same company, but it's the same sort of concept, like, you're not a part of the group, but you want to, like, support the group, and I don't have a problem with that. Some people get really, like, offended by that. I think it's nice, actually. But, what does get very tiresome is, first off, when you're on a video that has nothing to do with K-pop, and you just see, like, any ARMYs here or something, which, it's harmless, but the more you notice it, it starts to get a little irritating, and, but more so than that is when, you'll be, like, watching a variety show or something, and someone in the comments is just having a ball with a fan fiction outline about what would happen with their group in that reality show. And I've seen someone do it with B2B. I'm not saying that it's only ARMYs and EXO-Ls, but that does seem to be the predominant two fandoms who pull that shit, and it is irritating when you want to, like, comment about what members of the group that you really like are doing, and someone's in the comments like, could you imagine Jungkook on Hello Baby, Baby with the Baby, when you're watching SHINee's Hello Baby and they're talking about how Taemin's the baby raising the baby. Like, it's not offensive, but I can see how it would grate on people's nerves and sort of cause tensions. It doesn't bother me that much, honestly, but I do think it's a little rude. It's a little impolite. But, more so than that. Those are little things that people bring up as being really irritating, that I don't think they're that irritating. I think it's just other things have angered people to the point that little things are bothersome. Like, you know when, like, if you have a brother or sister and, like, everything they say just sort of pisses you off, and it's not because what they have said is really that irritating, it's just you're kind of mad at them to begin with. I feel like this is that situation, and I feel like there are several reasons people are sort of, like, bitter against EXO-Ls and ARMYs, and one of them is BTS and EXO are really, really popular. They're huge groups, they're top-selling groups, and I mean, especially because BTS is getting a lot of attention in the States. I don't know what it is like in other countries as I don't live there, but BTS is sort of being talked about as the standard of K-pop, or the representative group of K-pop over here. And it actually does, I love BTS so much, and they're so good and so talented, and they definitely deserve their attention. But it is a little bittersweet, I guess, when you like other groups, because it, especially if you like groups that are older than BTS, it is a little upsetting when ARMYs are like, oh, BTS, legends, first to do it, which, I mean, they are one of the first groups to, like, really break into America, and definitely at this level, and they are really skilled and talented, but when it's, like, brought up, like, made as if they're the #1 most talented group and that's why they're here. They are an incredibly talented group. there are other groups that are just as talented, maybe in different ways, but BTS is incredible. But a lot of groups are really incredible. And there is a certain percentage of luck that comes with anyone who's at the top like that. And I'm not saying that it's all luck and they don't deserve it, because they do, but it's, I can see where other people are like, well, I mean, my group is really, really talented too, so they're like bitter that BTS is as famous as they are because they don't see how that's fair, but life isn't fair, is the thing. If life was fair, we would have about 10, maybe, boy groups just at the top, standing there on equal footing together because they're all that good. But life's not like that. And I just think people are upset that BTS is that famous. And I think the same thing goes for EXO, particularly when EXO first debuted. And they were very, like, overshadowy towards a lot of other groups. Not like the boys weren't doing it, but, like, just the incredible amount of instant super rookie attention they got. A lot of people were bitter towards EXO at that time, and I think people have gotten a lot less bitter towards EXO. And I do think that's because BTS is a bit overshadowing in regards to, like, fandom vocality, if that's a word. So I do think EXO and BTS being, like, really popular is a big part of why their fandoms are disliked a bit, and why the groups get some hate, or a lot of hate. There are a lot of haters for both BTS and EXO, and I think their popularity is a big part of it. And the fandom does play into it, it really does, because like I've mentioned before, y'all are everywhere, we're everywhere, and that can get a little grating at times, especially when some people are very insulting about other groups. That is, y'all really need to stop. Those of you who do it, I know not everybody does it, but it is irritating. I see why people get mad. Another thing is simply, in my opinion, the actual fan war, like, between EXO-Ls and ARMYs is really intense. And I know I'm jumping all over the place around here, like why people have hatred towards the groups, and why the groups' fandoms are, like, against each other. And the fandoms are against each other because they're like everybody else. You get irritated when you're not really multi-fandom, and when your big group, is in a way sort of, like, threatened. And really the biggest threats to BTS and EXO are each other, if you're viewing it from that singular perspective, where you think, oh, there's one group on top and the rest just are nobody. And, I mean, you could argue 101 is really doing well, but they're a temporary group, so I don't think they have as many issues with people disliking them based on their popularity. It's just that BTS and EXO are so popular, and they're so polarizing as groups. Like, it's strange. Usually if you ask someone, do you like a group, they're either like, yeah, I like them, or they're like, nah, they're not really my style. If you ask someone if they like BTS or EXO, they either love them or just violently react with, like, no, they're the worst fucking group, I can't stand them. It's insane. Like, it's so much, it's so extra. They're musicians, why are you that invested? Like, I'm invested, but not in hatred. Like, why would you invest in a bad feeling? I don't know. It's just